come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All out of bubblegum indeed. Good morning, everyone. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I've got some early risers, as always. First off the mark, let me see, what time was he? It's quite late this morning, actually, 9:32. Andy Dalvell was here saying morning, morning, morning. And it is Happy Friday, people, because it is his last Friday. Now, not that Mick George is a bad place to be, but he is heading for AR Demolition in the very near future. So, yes, Andy Dalvell leaves Mick George today. So I think that deserves a bit of this. Congratulations on the new role, Andy. I'm sure you're going to slot in to the AR Demolition team just nicely. Who else do we have here? Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Mark Whiting's here. Morning, Mark. Andy Hare has been praying for Friday since Monday. It's finally here. And Gary Muirhead is getting ahead of himself, but this is exactly how it's going to be next week. Bonjour, Mark. Bonjour, guys. Happy Friday. I was going to do Friday in French. Can't for the life of me remember what it is. I'm sure it's there in the back of my head somewhere, but I don't know what it is. And there is our friend Footy. Good morning to you. Good morning to everybody over on Instagram as well. Thank you very much indeed for being here. I hope you're all fit and well. Well, we made it. We made it all the way to Friday, and more importantly, we made it all the way. Just realised my camera angle was all a bit weird. Bear with me a second. That's much nicer. Yes, we made it all the way to Friday, and more importantly, we made it all the way to Intermat 2024 on Monday next week. The key bits of this studio will be loaded gently into a case, and I'll be heading for the Eurostar station. Now, that means two things. The first thing it means is that there will be no Breakfast show on Monday. I haven't seen Ken Hatcher in the chat yet, but please, if anybody sees him, tell him there is no show next Monday. The second thing that it all means is that by the time this show rolls around, it will be arriving with a French accent, no question. Yes, I do offer one word of caution, however. I've been assured repeatedly that A, I have a room from which to broadcast, and B, I have a beefy enough Wi-Fi connection to make it all happen. But I'll only know for sure when I get there. So if you switch on at the usual time on Tuesday and you see me wearing a beret, smoking a Gaulois cigarette and quietly singing Edith Piaf songs in the background, you'll know that all is well. If, however, you turn up on Tuesday and just see a black screen, either the Wi-Fi connection wasn't quite good enough or the French resistance have me. It'll be one of those two things. Andy Dalvell was just saying, not leaving just yet. I finish on Thursday. AR company induction next Friday. Start fresh next Monday at the Honda factory in Swindon. Absolutely fantastic. Footy says French. I can't understand French, so please don't speak it. Hey, listen. I think I've mentioned it before. I have but one phrase with which I can stun my French cousins. Le singe est dans l'arbre, which is stolen directly from Eddie Izzard, and it means the monkey's up the tree. I'm sure that's going to come in very, very handy in Paris. Now, without further ado, let me do the usual thing of roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Just as soon as I can find the intro. It is a Friday. Yes, Friday. I can hear Andy Hare cheering as we speak. It's Friday the 19th of April. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, Caterpillar pulverises concrete and the competition. Rammer gets in on the pulverising act. JCB is smoothing the road to Kent, and an Indian-built wheel loader that looks very strangely familiar. Plus, LiuGong limbers up for Intermat 2024. But before we get to all of that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine to discern. So let's have a bit of this. Yeah, the mystery machine for today. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. But Question for you. An additional question. Is this the actual colour of the machine? Is it a one-off paint job that the customer has requested? Or have I played around with the colour? I'll leave you to decide. But that is what you have to work with. I am looking for a make and a model. As always, let me know what you think. Let's have a look. Lou Khan has just turned up. Morning, Lou, and Chris Ford is here as well. I will be... in the nicest possible way. I tell you what, let me do it now while I think of it. There's Lou's button being pressed, and there's Chris Ford's being pressed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for being here. That's the mystery machine. If you can work out what that is from that little bit, you're a star. There is no prize, but you'll be a star, and you will have the admiration of your peers. But if you can't, you'll probably be the same as the rest of us. While you're figuring that out, I think we've already had a couple of answers on this, but let me very quickly remind you of our question of the day. And I'm hoping I've got the right one here because I can't actually remember uploading this. If it's the wrong one, I will... Yeah, that's yesterday's question. So the question of today actually is, what is your favourite thing to put on a piece of toast? Sweet, savoury, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It is the most versatile of foods. We'd love to know what you would like to put on a piece of toast. Are you a sweet, jam, marmalade kind of person? Are you a Marmite monster? Are you plain old butter? Are you peanut butter? Under normal circumstances, I consider myself a butter man, but she who must be obeyed, who sat upstairs and is probably watching as we speak, does a fine line in avocado on sourdough toast. Heavy on the olive oil, even heavier on the chili. And I do realise that all sounds a bit hipster, but you have to remember, I have a beard and I live in the South. I was a hipster before hipsters were even invented. So what about you? Let me know in the chat. Now, Lou Carney has thrown up this. This is my favourite French saying, ton chat de belle chasseur. What does that mean, Lou? Not a clue. I hope it's not rude. I don't care. Be as rude as you like, actually. Yeah, I'll get lots of questions, lots of toast fans in the chat. So don't forget, this is the mystery machine that you need to identify. Make a model if you would be so kind. We will come back to that in just a moment. But first, we need to start the show. That's officially morning made. I thought Le Singe dans l'Arbre was a good bit of French. Apparently, there we are. I'm not going to try and pronounce it again. Ton chat de belle chasseur. What does that mean, Lou? It means your cat has nice shoes. Yes, I think armed with those two phrases, I will be all set for Intermat. I may be kicked out of Intermat for being a certifiable lunatic, but thank you very much indeed for all of that. Now, if you've been around the industry for as long as I have, you might remember that Caterpillar was a bit of a Johnny-come-lately in the field of attachments. The company staked its claim in the attachment sector with the purchase of first Vibram and then Varacta back in the early 1990s. Today, however, the company is a significant player in the field of attachments in general and in demolition attachments in particular. In June this year, we will be taking a closer look at Caterpillar's demolition offering with the superstar that is Gilles Ronnet. But before then, the company has unveiled its latest range of pulverisers. And I have to say, they do look pretty damn splendid. Here they are. It's unusual for us to have two competitive companies, launching similar products at the same time. But today we have that. If you'd like to compare and contrast those pulverizers from Caterpillar with those of another manufacturer with maybe a slightly longer history in the world of attachments, please stick around. We have just that thing coming up in just a moment.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Now, Ken Hatcher has already said that he believes those pulverizers to be hot. I have no question that they are. Caterpillar do make a damn fine demolition attachment. Well, they make some damn fine attachments, not just in the field of demolition. But we do have the opportunity. Before we go to that, Mick Norton says, I didn't spot anything revolutionary about the Cat pulverizer. Much of the same. Footy, meanwhile, says hot. Well, before we all get carried away with whether they are standard or something new, we have an opportunity to compare and contrast. Rammer is a name that for most of us conjures up some of the best hydraulic breakers in the business, but there's more to Rammer than just hammers. They too have some new pulverizers. So please compare and contrast, and then we'll have a chat in just a moment.
John O'Dwyer, and I'm the Territory Manager for Crushing Tigers for South Texas and East Texas. We offer solutions for crushing, screening, material handling, recycling in the Texas area. We're in San Marcos, Texas. We're visiting here with one of our good customers, Yarrington Road Materials. Yarrington have the Rammer RPV 40S. It's on their John Deere 470G. Right now they're taking in demolition concrete from airport job in San Marcos. With this attachment they're able to process that demolition concrete, take out their rebar, that number 3 rebar, number 4 rebar, and prep it so they can feed it into their crushing setup here behind us.
My name is LiuGong. I work for Crushing Tigers as a sales engineer. It's a cost-effective way to process difficult material down and prevent wear on the crusher.
Samuel Zavala. I am the operations manager here at Yarrington Road Materials. Well, this new Rammer pulverizer, it's very efficient, very easy to use. Every piece of concrete that goes into its jaws, it just pulverizes it. When we run it through our crusher and our screens, the material's coming out so much faster. The production is a whole lot better. I can't get enough concrete on it to have it work all day because it just goes right through it.
And it also has the rebar cutter inside the actual jaws of the pulverizer to cut up that rebar and eliminate that going through any machines.
They've decreased their downtime massively on their crushers and screeners by taking out the rebar using the pulverizer. It's going really well.
It's given them an advantage in this line because they really would have predominantly kind of been washout material, not too much on the demo side of things, but this has opened another avenue for them to recycle demolition concrete here in Texas.
If you want to find more about the product, you can find it on crushingtigers.com or across all social media channels.
Let's have a look. Andy Dalvell just said, I don't think he'd be from Texas. Actually, neither of them are. They did sound a little bit like they've come via Cork or somewhere like that. Andy Darvell, I'm going to come back to this in just a second, but the Rammer have bigger teeth than the last model they came out with, but both the Cat and the Rammer have a long way to go to beat the Demorec Muncher. Still the best I've used. Well, okay, I'll take that on board, but I am going to say, I'm not going to do hot or not, but I am going to say, you've now seen the Cat pulverizers and you've seen the Rammer pulverizers. If you had to choose between those two, what one would you choose? Let us know in the chat. And somebody has just said to me, salut, comment vas-tu? Which I think is, how are you, or something like that. Yeah, good morning, bonjour, ça va. or something. I don't know. I've got to practice before Monday, but let's have a look. Dune Locali 225. He's speaking to me in French over on Instagram. Good morning to you. Mick Norton says the emphasis on the crushing tile is product to increase productivity by easier removal of the rebar. Hot. Not necessarily the product, but certainly the application. And our friend Jonathan Duras has been missing in action. He may well have been lurking in the background. I honestly don't know, but he's back amongst us all. He's giving us all the thumbs up. Jonathan, welcome back. Welcome back into the fold. Good to have you here, as it always is. Now, Mystery Machine. We haven't seen too much of the Mystery Machine, so this is what you've got to work with, and I'll come back to all things rammer attachments in just a moment. That's the Mystery Machine as it stands. I've missed out a bit, so I'm going to give you two more bits. You can see it is quite clearly on tracks. I need a make. I need a model. That's all I need. Now, going back to all things attachment, Andy Hare, much the same as any kind of attachment these days. Rammer don't actually make that. It's just a Mantovani Benny pulverizer painted red and white, like most stuff these days. Multiple colours, limited actual manufacturers. It's even worse in the selector grapple world. Yes, it most certainly is. And our Caterpillar, I know Caterpillar are probably making their pulverizers, but whose breakers do they have these days? That used to be a rammer thing as well. So lots of crossover in all things attachment-wise. But thank you for that, Andy. Good to know. Good to know. I can't keep up, to be perfectly honest with you. The badging of machines has always blown my mind. Just me, I guess. So that's what you've got to work with on the Mystery Machine. Please keep those guesses coming in. Well, I say keep them coming in. I don't think we've actually had one yet. Have I made it too hard for you? Could I get 2 back-to-back wins? You never know. I could still. Let's have a smidgen of this. I don't even know what to say to this. Chris Ford says, a double dose of pulverisers. I'll need a cold shower if you keep on. There's no more pulverisers to come, I promise you. You can calm down. Still take a cold shower if you'd like. We've had a guess in on our Mystery Machine, which looks like this. Is it a PC 490 LC-11? Very specific. Sadly, very wrong. It is not one of those, but keep the guesses coming. Now, I have to be absolutely honest here. I was starting to think that JCB's Pothole Pro machine had been designed specifically for roads in and around the company's native Staffordshire. The product was launched there, and as you've probably seen previously, it's been put through its paces by Stoke City Council. Excuse me. But good news, the product's reputation is creeping southwards, and it has now found its way to the Garden of England.
The client really want us to do permanent patches where we can. They want to fix it right first time, and that's where the Pothole Pro's coming in useful. My name's Chris Call. I'm the operations manager for Amy down in Faversham, and I'm in charge of the day-to-day running of the depot. So Amy have got 2 Pothole Pros in use at the moment. Productivity has been really good. On a good day with the right conditions, we've been doing over 100 metres of patching in a day.
My name's Robbie Lee, I'm a highways maintenance operative. It's made it a lot easier for us, as operatives.
Having the Pothole Pro makes it a lot quicker, a lot easier. A lot of the strenuous work's now been taken out because the machine does all of that.
Before I come on here, I was driving 360s on building sites. It's pretty much the same. We had the JCB trainer come down. We had a week's training, explain to us how the machine worked, how it performed. I'd never used a tilt rotator before. That took a little bit of getting used to, but a week's worth of training, you can pretty much pick it up.
So the good thing about the Pothole Pro is it's self-sufficient. It can get to site without us having extra vehicles to ship it to site.
We've got the biggest area in the Kent contract. We go as far as the Isle of Sheppey. It's so much better than, you haven't got to take any attachments off. The machine comes as one complete. Get it into road mode and you can drive straight to your next job as soon as you finish planing out. In that respect, it's really good.
feedback from a lot of residents when we initially started using it, and they were very happy to see us using the machine. I was quite happy with how quickly it was doing the jobs as well, and definitely recommend using the Pothole Pro for other gangs and other companies.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in just a moment. But you know who we haven't heard from in a while?
Hi, I'm Georgina Williams, aka JCB Digger Girl, and you're watching The Breakfast Show.
Georgina, you most certainly are watching The Breakfast Show. Now, we have had multiple guesses on our mystery machine, which I will remind you looks like that. Gary Muirhead is sticking his neck out and he is going with the Komatsu PC490-11. We know it's not that. Ken Hatcher says, is it a Cenobogan? I can see where you're coming from because they are very green. Jonathan Duras going down the same line. I'm sure Zoomline are green and black. They are. Not green and black like the chocolate, but they are green and black. Chris Ford is going for the Hitachi ZX210 LC-7. It is not. And Gary Muirhead is going for the Hyundai HX520AL. It is none of those things. In fact, it's none of those things to the point where we need some of this. No, it's none of those things. So let me give you a little bit more to work with. There you are. I'll tell you what, that's not even fair, is it? Let me give you that as well. That's what you've got to work with. If anybody can identify that, you will have the admiration of your peers right here on The Breakfast Show. And while you're figuring that out, let me do this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Chris Ford is going for the JCB 220X. It is not that either. Keep the guesses coming. I'm about to show you a machine that proudly claims to have been designed and built in India, specifically for customers on the Indian subcontinent. I have no doubt about those claims whatsoever. However, there is something that looks oddly familiar about this machine from SDLG. See if you can spot it.
Introducing the L946 4-ton payload capacity wheel loader from SDLG, the world leader in best value construction equipment. An integral partner in India's infrastructure growth and story since 2009, SDLG takes pride in bringing a wide range of technology and products uniquely suited for powering Indian markets. Moving away from the standard 3, 3.5 and 5-ton wheel loaders, the L946 4-tonner maneuvers its place neatly into the market gap, leaving its competition far behind. Crafted exclusively for customer gain, the L946 fits the economics of the segment and offers you the best-in-class efficiency with world-class production levels. What makes the L946 such a quick market leader since its launch? As a customer, you would like a payloader to have low initial investment costs, low running costs with easy maintainability, low fuel consumption but high production, high life of driveline components, superior ergonomics for long duty cycles, and a sleek look with unmatched features. The L946 has it all. It's a money saver. In just 3 years, you will save nearly 50% of the machine cost. The electronically controlled CRDI engine ensures best fuel efficiency. To load 1 ton, the L946 consumes just 40 to 50 millilitres of fuel. Other machines need nearly 60 to 70 millilitres for the same job. Being bigger than the standard in the small loader category, the L946 produces more. The average production is 20% more than what other machines can do in the same space. So, you get your job done faster with less hassle. Loading rail wagons and dump trucks requires your loader to have a higher clearance. Standing tall in offering the best dump clearance in the Indian industry, the L946 delivers easily without any struggle, giving you better life for the structure and hydraulics of your machine. Powered by a CRDI Weichai Deutz engine, a long-lasting 5-ton capacity SDLG transmission and SDLG axle, the L946 ensures that the major components of your machine work for several thousand hours before the first overhaul. Your operator will simply love the L946. The thoughtful features we have put in ensure your operator will love to take the hot seat in cool style.
मेरा नाम बिट्टू कुमार है। मैं 7 साल से ऑपरेटिंग कर रहा हूँ। कई सा ऐसा मशीन चलाया हूँ मैं, 4 घंटा 5 घंटा चलाते तो थकान महसूस होता था। ये मशीन 10 घंटा 8 घंटा चलाते तो थकान महसूस नहीं होता है। और भी ऐसा खूबी इस मशीन में है, एसी है, पंखा है, अच्छा सीट का लुकिंग है, स्पाइस भी बढ़िया है। मशीन चलाने बहुत बढ़िया लगता है।
We are dealer of SDLG since last 10 years. With launch of L946, the idea was to upgrade this market to a 410 class wheel loader, and it clicked.
The L946 was first introduced by our dealer, and we have a long-term relation and confidence in them. So we purchased the first machine. We went to the China plant, and after having seen the technology which is used in the machine and the components which they are putting in the machine, we have now a lot of confidence in this 4-ton L946.
We take up these 4-laning, 6-laning road projects, even airport projects, where it requires a lot of huge quantities of aggregate. 3-4 times I went crusher site. First question I used to ask my people, how is this machine is working? They are very, very happy.
The true experience of a product lies in the after-sales service. Our excellent Pan-India SDLG service support network ensures that your joy of being an L946 customer remains for a long time. Wherever you may be and whatever application you may use it for, it is the smartest choice you can ever make for your business. SDLG. Reliability in action.
Now, as Jonathan Duras says, I know their excavators are based on Volvo products. Not sure about the wheel loaders. I'm assuming they are based on Volvo. Even, and that was a bit that caught my eye, the dark grey counterweight with the nomenclature written up. I think it was even the same Volvo font. Very, very Volvo-like. Whether the machines themselves are Volvo-like, I'm not entirely convinced, but Jim Turner, not too bothered about that. He says if it's simple and not loading the computers all over it, it'll be sound. Not expected to see one of those making landfall here in the UK anytime soon, but interesting times. Now, Mystery Machine. Let me take Jim off the screen. Mystery Machine. Jonathan Duras has said LiuGong, or however it's pronounced. Okay. Very good. Chris Ford is going for the Case 250E. It is not. Let me give you a bit more, but I can tell you that our friend Mr. Duras is on the right track. That's what you've got to work with. And there is but one more film to come, and I will be back with it immediately after this. And so we come to our final film of the week, the final Intermat film before the show opens its doors, and the final film before this show decamps to Paris. And our final preview film features those fine folks at LiuGong. Now, two things. I've got to dredge this off of my hard drive, and I have to remember to to switch my my microphone to mute so you can't hear me heavy breathing in the background. And I've also got to remember to put it back on again afterwards. So bear with me while I find the right file. I think it's this one here.
Christian Willuka, I work for LiuGong. I'm a key account manager. I'm waiting for your visit in our booth in Intermat in 2024. We wanted to be 100% in the target of this goal of Intermat with an all-green stand with all of our new products in BEV range of products for LiuGong in Europe. We launched last year 2 products in Europe with one wheel loaders, 20-ton wheel loaders with 3.5 bucket capacity, on one Mini X 2.7 ton. It was a launching for Europe last year. But you have to know that it was not a launch in China, because in China we've got in domestic markets all of these products since more than 3 years, on more than 3,000 units runs in domestic markets. So it's give us a lot of data, a lot of knowledge, because some of the units have more than 10 or 12,000 hours. So it gives us many interesting feedback about the battery capacity, about the productivity and things like that. So now we are ready, and we wanted to increase our BEV range. And in that topics, we will announce that we wanted to launch more than 40 new BEV products in these 2 next years. We wanted to go in the European market with a heavy product like wheel loaders and excavators, or we wanted to give to the market the proof that everything can be done, even in BEV, in the full electric product. So we decided to launch firstly the 20-ton wheel loaders, excavators, but we wanted to have to go in 25 tons also during this year. We will have the next product, the 870 HE, and we'll go down also with the smaller wheel loaders with the 820 TE. It's around 6-ton wheel loader. So it's the same technology. So we obtained some good results with the 20 tons, and now we can duplicate on other range of product. But nothing wrong about the fact that it's every product. I think the most new product you have to come and see on our booth is our new 22 tons excavators, full electric. Because we make some noise with the 20 tons wheel loaders last year, we will make some noise with our 22 tons excavators. So it will be a real launching during Intermat.
And there you are, LiuGong. Now, mystery machine. Bearing in mind we've just finished with LiuGong, obviously I would not have a LiuGong as a mystery machine, would I? Yeah, I would. And none of you got it. Jonathan Duras went with the 925E. Close. I mean, so close I'm almost tempted, but I'm not going to give it to you because I quite like winning myself. Andy Dalvell's gone for the LiuGong 950. It is not. And Chris Ford has gone for the 936F. I'll tell you exactly what it is. In fact, I'll show you exactly what it is. That right there is a LiuGong 924F-E. Yes, that's what it is. And I win again. How do I do that? That's not the one I want. That's the... No, I prefer that one. There you are. I've won again. So I get this. All right, indeed. Yes. I win again. So the final one, the final mystery machine before we break up for Intermat and head over to Paris, I win. Now, couple of long bits to go through here. I will get to the chat in just a moment. We'll address this during the show, shall we? Mick Norton says steps and handholds for access, which is something that's been a constant topic of late. Means of access to driving and other operating positions shall be designed and located in order to provide to avoid operators using as steps or handholds parts not intended for that purpose, such as, for example, holes in the structure, guards, or moving parts. In particular, they should be designed to avoid the risk of a person holding onto the steering wheel when alighting or climbing the access steps, by, for example, the provisioning and positioning of easy access. Don't know where it goes after that, but you get the idea. Jim Turner says, here's a question. You need a dumper, 360 and dozer. You have to keep it for at least 10,000 hours and pay for all the repairs and running costs yourself. Will you go for today's modern machines or pick something low-tech from the past? Whatever you pick, new or old, will be brand new. Personally, if I was in the market for a new machine, I'd rather get a decent older one and have it fully reconditioned. It's a very, very interesting point. Curly Sue over on Instagram just said, LiuGong are awesome. We have one. Brilliant. Curly Sue, thank you very much indeed for that. Where are you, Curly Sue? It's a strange spelling of Curly Sue, but whereabouts are you in the world? Love to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed for being here. If anybody was paying attention, must be a year, maybe 18 months ago, this is a point that Rowan Atkinson made about cars. For those of you that don't know, the Mr. Bean actor is quite the car petrol head type, and he had basically done a lot of reading up and research and had decided that for to benefit the environment, he would go out and buy himself an electric car. And after owning it for about 6 months and actually having the opportunity to work with it and to understand it, he actually wrote a column for, I think it was maybe the Telegraph or the Times, that basically said he'd made a huge mistake. He'd made a huge mistake. To benefit the environment further, it would have been better to have got an older car and had the things that were brought up to speed, non-electric, but bearing in mind the cost of manufacture, bearing in mind how electricity is produced for an electric car and therefore an electric machine, didn't make actual sense. So I think Jim makes a very valid point. And we said this yesterday. We were talking about the RB22 or the 22RB, depending which way you'd like to read that. And we were talking about the fact that some machines of old are that bit more iconic. I think Jim used the word, what did he call it? Poetic. That's how he described it. Yeah. Would you, given the choice, I mean, there is a question. You need a dumper, 360 and a dozer. You've got to keep it for 10,000 hours and finance all the repairs. Are you going for a brand new machine with all the electronic finery, or are you going for something very, very mechanical from the past? I'd love to get your take on that. And I can tell you that Curly Sue is all the way over in Australia, recently the Outback. Wow, in Queensland. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It must be evening there. So good evening. Good evening to Australia. All of it. Particularly Curly Sue, but all of it. Andy Darvell says, Jim, I definitely buy old. AdBlue has been nothing but trouble on every machine I've been on that has it. Also, too many electronic components go wrong with sensors. Older is better. Yeah, so I tell my wife that all the time. Older is better. I mean, look at me. What a fine figure of a man. I was at the doctor's yesterday getting my latest diabetes check, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. It would be a lie to say that I was found fighting fit, but I'm not dead yet. So I'll be back. Well, I'll be back on Tuesday, all things being equal, all the way live from Paris. Hope you can join us then. AdBlue, just on that subject, my wife's car is what they call it, a semi-hybrid, and it is an AdBlue car. I got a warning. I went up to JCB some time ago, the first trip to JCB, and I got a warning light that came on that said you need to top up your AdBlue. So I went and got one of those, the bags, the bags of AdBlue. I thought I'm not going to risk driving home without it. So I stopped off at a petrol station, grabbed me a big bag of AdBlue, and put 95% of it in there. A month went by, and I went back to JCB, and the light came on again. Thankfully, in the boot, I'd left that bag. There was literally an eyeful in there. Put that in, and it's been quiet ever since. What is that all about? What is that? And when AdBlue came along, I mean, bearing in mind we've also been through a fuel cost crisis anyway. Do you remember anyone at any point saying to you, we're going to make your machines much, much cleaner by using this AdBlue stuff? And every once in a while, you'll have to go and buy some AdBlue stuff to make your machine clean. Did anyone explain that to you? Did they? Didn't explain it to me. Didn't explain it to me one bit. I'm not expecting them to distill, refine, brew, add blue for nothing. I understand there's a process, but I don't remember anybody saying, yes, your machine will be cleaner and more expensive to run. Good luck with that. That's my thoughts anyway. So that's today's show done. Reminder, just in case anybody wasn't paying attention at the top of the show, there will be no show on Monday because I'll be on a train. I'm packing up the best bits of the studio, putting them all in a briefcase, darting down to the Eurostar train station, and then I'm heading off to Gay Paris. So my no show on Monday. Tuesday I will be at the show, even though the show has not opened. So my plan is to basically run around if I can, and I'm also going to try and use that as a test case just to make sure that the technology is working, even though it might end up being a very, very brief me just popping up on the screen saying, hi, we're in Paris, it's all hunky-dory, or not. It will give me an opportunity to actually find out exactly what's going on over there. Curly Sue has just come back and said they cheat here and put water in with the blue food colour and sensors go off. Do they? Has anyone come across that here in the UK? I'm sure that can't be an exclusively Australian problem. I do remember back in the day, my part two of my honeymoon. The first part of my honeymoon was in Scotland, and then a couple of months later, I was changing jobs and everything else. So part two of the honeymoon was in Barbados. And one of the things that the Bajans are keen to sell is they basically extract the juice, pulp, stuff from an aloe vera plant. So if you get yourself sunburnt, you smear this aloe vera on you and it cools you down and everything else. But we were staying in a hotel and there was a bunch of Americans and they saw an entirely trustworthy Rastafarian walking towards them carrying plastic bottles of aloe vera, which they purchased at great expense. The aloe vera was seawater. Did no good whatsoever. So yes, AdBlue apparently AdBlue over in Australia. You can drink the damn. Don't do that. But it's water with blue food colour. Who knew? Mick Norton says my son invalidated the warranty on his Mercedes by using a cheaper version of AdBlue. There's a point. I'm not aware of anybody having issues with warranties. I need to mention this. Somebody on Instagram has just joined the feed, and his name is Tommy Dickfingers. Good morning, Tommy Dickfingers. If anybody here watched Phoenix Nights, you'll know exactly where that came from. Yeah, so warranties. Bearing in mind, manufacturers and dealers get awfully uptight about you using only prescribed and ideally sold by them lubricants and greases and that kind of thing. Has anybody come across that? Being threatening your warranty because you're using not using AdBlue, but you're using the wrong type. I'd love to hear from you if you've had any encounters with that. Let me take that away very quickly because I do need to end the show because that is about the main part of it over and done with. I'm going to roll the outro before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around, do please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. I hope to see you again very, very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I will be back with the Craic immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. Well, that's very nice. Our brand new friend Curly Sue says, great show, thanks, and a big thumbs up. Thank you for that. And we've won over another one. Only about another 7 billion to go, and we'll have conquered the world. Doesn't seem likely, does it? Let's go back to the very beginning of the chat. You were all late this morning. Well, I say late-ish. Bearing in mind we've actually had people pitching up before 8 o'clock in the morning in the recent past. But Andy Darvell was first off the mark, and there he is. That was at 9:32. Morning. Happy Friday, people. My last day. Mick George. Do people still have to go and get the cakes in? Is that a thing before you leave a company? Do you still do that? I don't know. I've not left a company in quite some time. I've not left a company since 1990. Mainly because I can't fire myself. There you are. Mark Whiting's here. Andy Darvell is here. Andy Hare is celebrating Leeds. There's dancing in the streets in Leeds because Friday has pitched up again, belatedly, at least 5 days too late, but it has pitched up at long last. Gary Muirhead getting us all in the mood for what I so want it to work. I won't bore you with the details, but you see this microphone here. This is made by a company called Elgato. It's mounted on an arm that is also made by the same company. There's a light shining in my eyes up there that is also made by Elgato, and I'm a fan. I'm an absolute fanboy. Well, yesterday they came out with a whole new bunch of products called the Neo range. So, I mean, I've spent lots of money on all this stuff, but you can now pick up a microphone that is kind of the equivalent of this for about 90 quid. You can pick up a light that's almost as good as that for about 80 quid. They've really, really made it easy. And I was looking at it thinking, you know, if I was starting again, I would go and do that. I would actually go out and buy all the various bits and pieces. But I was also thinking, you know, if I can really prove, if I can go to Paris and really prove that we can make this and take this mobile for, you know, the exhibition, so Bauma, Con Expo, Mine Expo, and all of these places, it's going to be such a great thing. It really is. Still have very little faith in being able to do it at Hillhead because it's in a big bloody hole in the ground. And to ask for a decent internet connection in a hole in the ground is asking a bit much. But obviously we announced yesterday, was it yesterday we announced it or was it Monday? Can't remember. We've announced recently that plant works will be taking place in Newark on the 23rd to 25th of September next year. Last time around, Plantworks did have a Wi-Fi connection that I could have used. Timings was all off and just got waylaid. But if we can make this work in Paris, I may well just splash the cash, get another lot of this kit that I will keep in a briefcase, hook it up to my laptop, and I'll be able to go anywhere. Curly Sue says, sorry guys, I need to sign off. 4 a.m. start, Saturday morning, civil construction over here. Love the show. Thank you very much indeed, Curly Sue. Really appreciate you being here. Still blows my mind that I can press a button here and be speaking to somebody in Australia live via the interwebs. Mental. Let's have a look. Who else do we have here? Our friend Footy is here. Andy Darvell clarifying, not leaving just yet. I finish on Thursday. AR company induction next Friday and start fresh next Monday at Honda factory in Swindon. Best of luck to you. Please get us a photograph of you with your new ride. Love to hear from you on that. Footy doesn't like the French. I'm sure he likes the French people, doesn't like the language. Don't worry, I have very little to offer in that department. Our question of the day was this: what is your favourite toast topping? And normally I defer to Mr. Muirhead and say this is one of his questions. It is not. This time it is Mrs. Anthony's question. She asked me every night, what is the question of the day tomorrow? And 99 times out of 100, you know, what is your favourite attachment? Doesn't mean a great deal to her. I did say yesterday, the question of the day yesterday was, what is your favourite tool? My wife's answer on that was a wine glass. Those of you that know her will know that comes as no surprise. But yes, she came up with today's question of the day, which is this: what is your favourite toast topping? And her old school and work colleague, Lou Carney, first off the mark, came up with a Marmite and cheese. Here's a thing that not many people know. My wife is also a fan of the Marmite and the cheese, or Bovril and cheese. But not only that, she has converted both of our boxer dogs. Our boxer dogs both share a cheese and Marmite or a cheese and Bovril sandwich every single day. Spoiled much? I think you'll find they are. Chris Ford is in the house. Mick Norton is here as well. Ken Hatcher. Ken, this is especially for you. No show Monday. No show Monday. We have discovered that we now know how to say your mouse has nice shoes in French, which I'm sure is going to come in very handy. This is a hard one to beat. Now, I've mentioned in the past, I tell you what, let me just get some music playing in the background because I sound awfully loud in my own head. Let's go with that. That's better. I've mentioned in the past, I believe that crab is the greatest food known to mankind. If I were on death row, I would start with some crab and I'd have a bit of Dover sole. However, my go-to meal at any given time, and it's probably the meal that I've eaten more in my life than anything else, is that right there, beans on toast. Is there ever a time when beans on toast is not fantastic? You know, if it comes to lunchtime and your other half, I'm not saying your wife or just your other half says, do you fancy some beans on toast? The answer surely is yes, isn't it? Or is it just me? Gary Muirhead. Very, very diplomatically handled. Gary Muirhead says, question of the day, what was the best thing to put on toast? Marmalade. The one that had our little coloured friend on the jar. Yes, remember it well. Mick Norton is going for black pudding and burnt bacon. Yeah, bacon being one of those rare, and I will throw sausage into the mix as well, one of those rare foods that is actually better burnt onions. Burnt onions. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Footy is going for butter and cherry jam. That sounds awfully upmarket, Footy, I have to say. Andy Darvell, I love seriously strong soft cheese spread on toast. Bloody lovely. Oh yeah. What's the Italian one? Gorgonzola. Is that Italian? I think it is. Gorgonzola. Oh, that's good gear, that is. And Mick Norton's second favourite, lime marmalade. There is probably a half-eaten jar of lime marmalade in our cupboard as we speak. Big one of my dad's favourites, and it was one that I inherited. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Now, here's a recipe to try, and maybe this is just an American thing, I don't know, but I'm keen to try it. Our friend Garrett Wolfwelder69 says, my favourite toast topping is probably butter with a sprinkling of garlic powder. Oh, you've got me at garlic powder. Yep, count me in. The other one that I completely forgot, which I absolutely love, you know when you go to certain bits of Spain and certain bits of Italy where they do that usually griddled sourdough bread and they rub it with a bit of garlic and then they squash tomatoes into it? Oh, yeah, count me in on some of that. Bit of a mixed review on the cat pulverisers. We had Ken Hatcher saying hot. We had Footy saying hot. Mick Norton, on the other hand, says, I didn't spot anything revolutionary about the cat pulveriser. Much of the same. And as our friend a bit later in the show pointed out, Andy Hare, it's not actually a cat at all. It's a Mantovani Benny. Chris Ford. A little bit too much information, I think. I was getting a sweat on when we mention pulverisers. Do you? Crushing Tigers, who were using the rammers, yes, most definitely not from Texas, unless the Texans have started to say top of the morning, dear. I'm not going to try and do the accent, but yes, I do feel like they had a bit of Irish in them, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. Andy Dovell says the Rammer have bigger teeth than the last model they came out with, but both the Cat and the Rammer have a long way to go to beat a Demarec Muncher. Still the best I've used. And I do wonder, and I say this with the utmost respect, Rammer make probably, in my opinion, the best, if not one of the best hydraulic breakers. But they're not a pulverizer company, and I would say exactly the same about Caterpillar. Obviously, they make, oh boy, do they make a good dump truck, and oh boy, do they make a good dozer, but they're not an attachment company to the point where they're actually buying them in. As Andy Harris pointed out, Rammer don't actually make that. No, actually, I've got the wrong way around, but Rammer don't make that. It's just a Mantovani Benny pulverizer, painted red and white like most stuff these days, multiple colours, limited actual manufacturers, even worse, in the selector grapple market. How many selector grapple makers are there? 2 or 3, and yet every man and his wife seems to make a selector grapple these days. Mick Norton picking up with our the Crushing Tigers people over in Texas via Cork. The emphasis on Crushing Tigers product to increase productivity by easier removal of rebar. Hot, yeah. Obviously done their homework. Jonathan Duras joined us. Always good to see him in the chat. Chris Ford. It's probably going for a long lie down now. A double dose of pulverisers. I'll need a cold shower if you keep on. Thankfully, I put a stop to that. We're going back to, she came up with a question and she's come up with the answer. Here's my other half saying, question of the day, marmalade, cheese or scrambled egg? Yeah, scrambled egg. Can't go wrong with a bit of scrambled egg. But I would still go, and listen, credit where it's due. My wife does a fantastic avocado on toast, mainly because she douses it in chili, which is always a good thing. Jim Turner's here as well. Lots of guesses on our mystery machine, none of which proved to be right. Jonathan Juris pointing out the Zoom line are green and black. They most certainly are. And somebody else said Cenobogin. Yeah, they're Ken Hatcher. All good answers because they are most definitely green. But no, turns out it was, if I remember rightly, LiuGong 924FE because it's an electric. Yeah. More guesses. I think this is an interesting one. Let me take that away. We've done and dusted with that, even though, I like to bask in my own glory. I do think this is an interesting one, and I know Jim expands on this in just a moment. This idea of, I wonder if there's a backlash. And I don't want to overstate this because obviously, we are but a few people here. When I first started writing about electric machines, probably 6-7 years ago, I was awfully excited about it because, I by that point I'd spent 30 years writing about diesel engines with very, very few exceptions. Everything that I covered pretty much was diesel powered. And along came this newfangled thing called electric power. And it had great promise for the future. It was going to be super quiet and super clean, and it was a glimpse of the future. And then it went to market, and I got the very distinct impression that there was this is exciting, this is new, let's embrace this, which soon became this is not necessarily the complete answer. Are we actually doing the world a favour by charging this using a diesel generator? Probably not. Can we get a full day out of it? Probably not. And I've said this to people, I've even said this to manufacturers that make electric machine. I have sensed something of a backlash. And I wonder, it's a long way to get there, but I wonder if Jim has hit the nail on the head of another backlash. And I'm not talking about protests in the street and setting fire to your lamb stocks like our friends in France do. But what I'm talking about is, we've been sold this electronic gizmo-laden future. Screen for this, screen for that, screen for the other, sensors, technology, blah-de-blah-de-blah. All of that is fantastic. I love a gizmo, I love a gadget, but it's all stuff that might go wrong. And it might go wrong, and you, Joe Public, can't fix it. In order to get that fixed, you need Matey from the dealer with his laptop and his sonic screwdriver. And I do wonder if Jim has hit the nail on the head there, whether we've had a very, very close, touchy-feely relationship with some of this technology and gone, yeah, hang on, hang on. Listen, I think for some applications, we talk regularly about GPS and that kind of thing. If you are building HS2, if you're building a motorway and you're going to be responsible for that stretch of highway or that stretch of railway forever, effectively, you want to be able to track precisely what was done, compaction levels and grade levels and all of it. You want all of that. If you're just digging the footings for a house, if you're just knocking down a terraced house, do you really want all that? Do you really need all that? And I do wonder if we're starting to see the worm turning. Anybody got any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear from you. Jonathan Duras explaining the SDLG, their excavators based on Volvo products, not sure about the wheel loaders. I can't, as I say, that the moment that came up on my screen yesterday, that dark grey counterweight, or the very back of the counterweight, with the nomenclature written up vertically, And even a Volvo style font, it just looked very, very Volvo. I wonder what the price comparison is between an SDLG and a Volvo. My guess is the Volvo will be a little bit more expensive. Quite a bit more expensive. More guesses on our mystery machine. Didn't get to the end of that, but yeah, it's, as I say, of all the things I expected us to be discussing at length on this show, getting in and out of machines was never top of my list, and yet there you are. It does appear that there are very strict rules and regulations, and I do think modern machines, with the placing of the grab handles, I do think they are much, much better than they were. But have we gone far enough? The very fact that we've got at least one of our number has been out and bought himself a trampoline ladder suggests that we haven't. Now, I said that Jim would expand on his thesis earlier, and here he is. Here's a question. You need a dumper, a 360 and a dozer. You have to keep it for at least 10,000 hours and pay for all the repairs and running costs yourself. Will you go for today's modern machines or pick something low-tech from the past? Whatever you pick, new or old, will be brand new. Personally, if I was in the market for a new machine, I'd rather get a decent older one and have it totally reconditioned. And I don't think you're alone. As I say, that did bring back memories of Rowan Atkinson's rant about electric cars and the fact that he basically thought he'd bought a pup. But I wonder, if you just want something that's rough, tough, built for the job, you want the minimum possible maintenance. You don't want to have to pay a dealer through the nose every time something goes wrong. You just want to be able to aim a King Dick spanner at it. That's a reference to yesterday's show, but you want to aim a spanner at it and fix it yourself. If that is the case, if you want to control all of that, it's older machines all the way, isn't it? Really is. And it goes back, and I'm sure it was Jim that sparked this as well. He was suggesting the last couple of days the idea of manufacturers offering basically their machines as a platform. So here's the base machine, and you can have this or you can have that, and you can have... I wonder how many people, particularly in plant hire and rental, would say, no, base machine will do for me, thank you. I reckon you'd get a big old take up on that. Jim Turner says, no Smurf juice, less computers and tech to go wrong. He has a point. How many people are mapping out Smurf juice? Smurf juice. Yeah. There's Andy Dovell says, I'd definitely buy old. AdBlue has been nothing but trouble on every machine I've been on that has it. Also, too many electronic components go wrong, especially with sensors. Older is better. It's interesting you should say that. We've had, not this car, but the car that we had before has got tyre pressure sensors on it. And if you listen to the tyre pressure sensors on my wife's previous car, you would think that you had a slow puncture on all four tyres all the time. Literally all the time. And you turn the car on, beep, you need more air in this tyre. And you drive a little bit further and it would go off. Or you'd have a thing where it said, all of them are at, 32, but this one's at 31. You'd go to the garage and you top it up with that little extra bit of air. You get back in, that 31 is now at 33, and the others are now being triggered. Yes. Mick Norton says, my son invalidated the warranty on his Mercedes by using cheaper version of AdBlue. Nobody has mentioned that to me before, but I mean, literally, bearing in mind, I wouldn't go so far as to say it was an emergency, but I got the warning to say you need to top up your AdBlue. I just went to the first petrol station and bought a big bag of the stuff. I say a bag, it wasn't like a plastic bag that somebody wasn't watered with food colouring, as our friend Curly Sue was suggesting. It was actually a kosher bag, but nobody told me that I needed to worry about its origins. It was just a bag of AdBlue with a nozzle on it in the car. LinkedIn image of barge mounted 22 RB for Jim Turner. Is that over on... I've just seen something. I can't grab the photograph. It's something that Mick has sent me over on LinkedIn, but for some reason, I can't grab it at the moment. So my apologies for that, but I will share it in the WhatsApp group a bit later on. Back to our toast. Just had toast and marmalade. Does that count? Yes, of course it counts. Of course it counts. Marmalade, fine invention. No show today. Sounds like a typical building site. Well, we are very much of the industry, are we not? No show on Monday, hungover on Tuesday. Jonathan Doris, eggs on toast, yes. Very selective. I like me a fried egg sandwich, but I don't want fried egg on toast. Scrambled egg on toast, if you don't mind. Steve Williamson. Morning. Wife doing makeup, sore head, stuffed with pastries. Oh my God. Paris airport and tram to Paris is a dirty place. Well, thank you. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting there. Yeah, bits of it aren't great. I mean, we're actually getting the train into I can't remember if it's Gare du Nord or Gare de Lyon, but whatever it is, you come out and it's bloody horrible, but thankfully we're staying right by the Eiffel Tower. So, setting aside the muggers and the pickpockets, it'll be absolutely lovely, I'm sure. Jim Turner, back to our question of the day, says garlic butter, red Leicester cheese, and Henderson's relish, which I like. Liam Perrins. It's like Liam Perrins, but better. Never heard of Henderson's relish. Need to go and find some of that. Let's have a look. And pepperoni, if you want meat on it too. Yeah, I do. I always want meat. Absolutely. I've got to work weekends. Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm going to get back to work. No problem, Footy. Don't forget, no show on Monday. Mick Norton says, how can batteries possibly win the day in the UK when the Chinese control the acquisition and distribution of lithium worldwide? It's become what started, I think, as a very necessary and a very forward thinking, I think. I think, I realise politicians were a bit slower off the mark, but I think a lot of us took a look at, rising sea levels and global warming and all the good stuff that we have to look forward to. And I think a lot of us went, batteries, if that's the way forward, then that's great. But yeah, the very fact that the Chinese now own a lot of that has made basically the future of the planet politicised. And let's be absolutely honest, this was something that was mooted. I think it's Hinkley Point. But don't hold me to it. But I know that one of the major nuclear power stations that we're building here in the UK has been built with a lot of Chinese investment. And part of the deal with that was that they were going to guarantee a cost for electricity 10, 20, 25 years in advance. Which sounds great. But what if they renege? What if they decide, actually, our super clean nuclear electricity is going to be twice the price that we told you it was? What are you going to do? What can you do? It's a worry. It is a worry. Now, as I say, this is it. This is our final British show, purely British show for a week. All things being equal, we will be back live from Paris. As I say, fending off the pickpockets and trying to avoid the tram and the dirt in Paris, according to Steve Williamson. But we will be back. We'll be back hopefully on Tuesday. Jim Turner says, here's an example. Old boys like my dad and Mick Norton cut their teeth when ex-World War II cat dozers with string blades were in use, were able to make a fine job without all the driver aids. But more importantly, some of those machines are still in use today at working weekends and vintage rallies. That's where tech falls flat on its face. You have to say, and I know there's been a fair bit of restoration gone into some of those ex-World War II machines, and I realise they're not doing a day-to-day job by and large, although some of them are. But can you honestly imagine any electronics actually surviving 30, 40, 50 years? Not so sure. Steve Williamson says, didn't realise here in Paris they eat dinner so late. Some restaurants don't serve until 8 p.m. Away to the Louvre Museum. See you next week. Going to be a great weather next week. Fantastic. Good. Thank you for putting in a good word on that. Without the French and the Chinese, Hinkley would have been a non-starter. Yes. We've basically sold our electric souls to the French, who we've been at war with for basically forever, and the Chinese, who we will probably end up at war with at some point in the future. That sounds like sound economic sense and no mistake. Everybody, on that happy, cheery note, and on that bombshell, as Jeremy Clarkson used to say, I'm going to go and pack up this studio into a little box to try and reassemble it at the other end. I'll be back, all things being equal, on Tuesday. If the technology fails me, I will communicate it via WhatsApp, but I'm so hopeful. The wife gave me a slap over the head yesterday. I'm sure you deserved it. Sure, you deserved it. And Chris Will saying, au revoir. Steve Williamson says, saw machines and started taking pictures. Yes, that is a huge mistake. Although, Steve, I will point this out, that's only now. Now, you know, having been married for 34 years, come May, my wife will regularly come home and say, just been down the shops. There's a Kubota KX008 working down there, if you're interested. No, I'm not even remotely interested. But she's got the bug. Trust me, it'll come. Her day will come. Everybody, have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully have a fantastic week. And hopefully I will be a part of it all the way from Paris, where Steve Williamson is currently strolling the Parisian... What was that song? The Gary Moorfield lineup? Parisian Walkways or something like that? Can't remember. A light blue Manitou forklift. Had to. You really didn't, but I'm glad you did. Everybody, go. See you next week from Paris, hopefully. Fingers crossed.